Hello and welcome back to the DoneDeal YouTube channel. I'm David OC and today we're going to talk about premium cars because usually people love BMWs, Audis or Mercedes-Benz, and today we're reviewing the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. Now, E-Class doesn't actually stand for electronic class, but in fact it's kind of their mid-sized saloon car. It rivals the A6, the BMW 5 Series. Now this is the all-new facelift version. We'll talk about the facelift in just a short while. Prices start at around 55,000 euros. Now you can actually add quite a lot of spec and get into the 60s or even touching 70 grand. But again, we'll talk about more of that later in the review. But if you'd like to see E-Classes for sale currently on DoneDeal from our trusted dealer network, then hit the link up there and have a little browse. But for now, we're going to continue with the rest of the review. So that facelift, what does it entail? Well, it's got new upgraded rear lights that go into the boot. From the side it looks very similar, although this one does have the night pack, which is about €1,000. That's the equivalent of, let's say, Audi's black edition. It's got blacked out pieces here on the mirror, blacked out window trims, a little bit of black on these 20-inch multi-spoke alloys. Now they will also cost you an extra €1,600. You've got the power dome bonnet, which makes it look more aggressive. You've got an upgraded grille, and the interior has some nice little facelifts too. The interior of the E-Class, it really has that wow factor to it. The steering wheel, it's the new upgraded one. This is also the AMG version, so it's got these nice little thin spokes with gaps. You've got that Napa saddle brown interior, which it may not be to everyone's liking, but trust me, when you're sitting in here it feels very, very premium. Now, how could you not talk about these massive 24-inch, basically two 12-inch screens in front of you. So if you click the really nice on button there, these light up and they look absolutely fantastic. So you've got all your little adjustments here. You can turn up and down the volume. It's touch screen here and it's very, very sensitive touch. And what's more is the trackpad. Now they've upgraded this. This is part of the facelift. The little knob there is gone and actually it's really, really nice. It's got haptic sensitive touch, which is very responsive. And of course you can obviously modify this to suit you in any way possible. You can change the ambient lighting, so you can set it to be red if you're feeling really powerful. If you want to be relaxed, you can set it to a nice midnight blue, and you can actually adjust it exactly how you like it. Now let's talk about some of the infotainment system and the practicality of it. So actually, interestingly enough, as standard, there's no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which to me was a bit of a shock, but actually the sat-nav built in is very good. It actually, you can enter air codes in Ireland and it will take you to that destination. And as far as I'm aware, that's one of the only sat-navs that will do that across the motor industry. Everything else is completely adjustable, and I could talk all day about it, but I think the best thing to do is potentially to just go down to a local dealer, sit into one and feel it out, because it feels very, very good. In the rear of the E-Class, the doors open nice and wide. ISOFIX points, easy to get at. However, I do worry that you could lose this little connection, which would be quite annoying. And no doubt it's expensive to replace because this is a Mercedes. But as you sit in, the seats, they're potentially even more comfortable than the front seats. They're so soft, it's incredible. And actually one drawback to that softness is if you actually have a child seat on this for too long, it could leave a little bit of a mark. Now, as an adult, it's very comfortable, loads of knee space, and despite being an exceptionally tall adult, I still have loads of headroom. Creature comforts, plenty of those. So you've got little coat hangers here if you've got some shirts that you want to take to a meeting. You've got some door card storage there, a little bit more storage here, a folding down armrest which is at a really nice height with a bit of storage, some drink holders, and below you here you also have USB-C and 12-volt socket. All in all, a nice place to be and stay, because I'm jaw locked in. As we come to the boot space in the E-Class, before we even get there, we have to recognise that the E-Class has the world's fastest opening boot. In fact, if there was an Olympic category for fastest opening boot, the E-Class would win. And it seems a little bit slower right now, but earlier I swear it was faster. It's probably just a little bit tired. Anyway, the boot itself, 540 litres, that's class leading. It's a little bit more than the 5 Series, it's a little bit more than the A6. And in terms of functionality, it's got a little bit of netting, it's got some tie down points here, it has got a little bit of a false floor where you can hide things, put a bit of storage, and it's got this cool little thing where basically you can, let's say you've got some dirty shoes, you throw them in there and it's not going to dirty the lining of your boot. Now as I stand on one foot, I'm going to show you the last features, which is the folding rear seats. You pull them there. Now you will have to hop around to actually physically pull them down, but they do sit in a 60-40 split. So to drive the E-Class, what I really do like is you push it down, it engages drive, and off you go. You push it up, it's in reverse. And I was going to say that's out of a Tesla, but in fact it's the other way around. Mercedes engineered this and they've sold it to Tesla. They do that with a lot of things, which is nice to see, and it also makes driving different cars a lot easier. Now, as you drive it, let's talk about engines to begin with. There's a variety of engines: petrol, diesel, plug-in hybrid petrol, plug-in hybrid diesel, which is a very good engine to get. But this is the 2-litre diesel. It's 194 brake horsepower. And have a guess at how many gears the automatic gearbox has. Very smooth over bumps. So have a guess. Incorrect. 9 gears. I remember when cars had 4 gears, then 5 gears, then 6, and now we're at 9. Soon it's going to be like driving a truck and you're going to be in gear 24 going down the motorway. But it is good to keep those revs down when you do get on the motorway, and it makes it more efficient. Now down here you have your different modes, so you can have it in eco, you can have it in comfort, sport and individual where you set it. Now what I will say is across all of them, a lot of it feels very similar. In sport it takes longer to shift up to the next gear, and it also shifts down a little bit earlier. But other than that, there's not huge differences. What I will say though is you also have these flappy paddle gearboxes and they feel so solid. So now I'm going over a speed bump, down into first, but as I take off in sport mode and I change gear, it's very responsive, and overall it does actually feel quite sporty, and there's a lot of torque from that 2-litre diesel engine. The steering, phenomenally light. It's just so easy, and actually I'll hit this speed bump a little bit faster and you can see the suspension is really smooth, much more so than in something like a 5 Series and even than an A6. I would say the suspension and the ride is best in its class when it comes to those, but we will be reviewing the A6 very soon, so make sure to subscribe to watch that video. Naturally, in every DoneDeal car review, at this point we discuss 3 of our favourite and 3 of our least favourite things about the car we're reviewing. So, number 1 on our least favourite things, and I feel like I use this one a lot, but obviously the manufacturers aren't getting the memo, and it's these fake exhausts. They look quite real from far back, but in fact the real exhaust is under there. Number 2 is that while there are some driving aids like emergency braking to avoid fender benders, it doesn't have things like adaptive cruise control as standard, which is quite staggering when you consider something like a Skoda Octavia does. And number 3 is that when you opt for the night pack, it seems to get a weird oily stain on it, and if you look over here at the chrome, it doesn't get it. So maybe one of the bonuses of not having the night pack is it will look a lot cleaner. However, it's not all bad. In fact, a lot of it is really good. So you've got this really clear reversing camera, and in fact you've got 360-degree sensors, so that way you can help avoid hitting any curbs down low that you might not see. It could maybe be in your blind spot. And number 2 is there's an option that will give you something called kinetic seating. Now what that does is as you're sitting on a long journey, it will slightly adjust the bolstering and your seat position every 20 to 30 minutes to make sure to keep you alert and to keep you aware, and also to stop you having that backache when you get out of the car. You know when you arrive up somewhere and you think, oh, that was a long old drive, my back's a bit sore. That won't happen if you select that option. And number 3, as we pull up to Connolly's Mercedes in Sligo, who supplied us with this car for the review very kindly, we'll test out this parking feature. So basically, how it should work is I drive up to a spot and basically it should pick up on a spot. So here we go, up here now, there's a nice little parking space and it should stop the vehicle to park, confirm to park. I'm going to click OK, park. Now I put it in reverse and I'm going to trust it. It's put the indicator on. Wow, I've never seen that. Normally they just go on their own. I'm so scared because I'm also parking to another 2 brand new Mercedes. Tell you what though. Oh. Oh. There's the sensors. I will say hats off to the Mercedes-Benz. It got itself into the spot. Well, there you have it. That is DoneDeal's review of the all-new facelifted Mercedes-Benz E-Class. And in many ways, it reminds me of DoneDeal. It's premium, it's reliable, and it can be trusted. And jokes aside, DoneDeal is actually obsessed with taking all uncertainty out of buying a new car. It can be quite an experience, it can be very enjoyable, but it can also be very daunting, and that's why we work with so many trusted dealers around Ireland. So if you would like to look up Mercedes-Benz's for sale currently on DoneDeal, hit the link up there. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.